So the Bulls ended up making a trade. Team that has not made many trades, and they finally ended up making a trade, which seems like they're heading into a rebuild, or hopefully at least. Who knows what they're gonna do? Anyways, the Chicago Bulls are trading two-time all defensive guard Alex Caruso to the Thunder for Josh Giddey. So 1-for-1 trade. Obviously, me as a Bulls fan, being from Chicago, also, um, you would expect to at least get a pick out of them. They have like the most picks in the league, so that kind of sucks. But to take a look kind of deeper into this, the Bulls, says have been determined to find a playmaker to replace Lonzo Ball. Giddey, 21, comes with an all-star potential that would unlikely be realized with the Thunder because of the playmaking star power who surrounded him. The Bulls will offer him an opportunity to have the ball in his hands and so much more freedom to pass and score. And then for, Thunder side of it, Caruso, entering the final year of his deal, becomes eligible for a 4-year, approximately $80 million extension. Exactly 6 months from the date of this trade, the Thunder made the trade with the hope to have Caruso as an integral player for the long term. So, basically saying that they expect to bring him back. And yeah, so anyways, first initial thoughts that I have on this trade is the fact that it kind of sucks that the Bulls couldn't get more out of Alex Caruso, considering that there was a lot of rumors that trade deadline they got a top 10 pick that they turned down, and they also turned down like multiple first round picks for him. So that's the only part that I think really, really sucks about this trade. Well, not the only part, but I think that's a big part that really, really sucks about this trade. And then now, obviously, assuming if they made this trade, none of those were on the table anymore. So obviously for the Bulls, the biggest problem is maximizing, their assets in terms of, you could have got a lot more for Alex Caruso, and you ended up not because you wanted to compete, and you've been wanting to compete for the last who knows how many years, and it hasn't been happening, but you still continue to run back the team, essentially. That's the biggest thing that I have a problem with this trade. Now, the one thing that I will not agree with, that I feel like is a majority opinion, is a lot of people are calling this a bad trade because of Josh Giddey's skill at basketball. Which, obviously, all the off-court stuff with Josh Giddey, I don't know, obviously, what's right and what's wrong. So, that's kind of all leaving that out. Obviously, I think that is also a big part of why people have this perception that they have with Josh Giddey. I feel like if that situation with Josh Giddey never happened, maybe people think a little bit differently about this. And that's, for me, I think one of the main things why I think this trade's like a little bit worse. Obviously, if that never happened, I'm a little bit more optimistic about this trade. But with that, it makes it a lot harder, especially with, like I said, being someone who likes the Bulls. I don't want to root for a guy doing anything like that, or even, like I said, I don't know what's, right or wrong, but from likely what the case is, if it's true, I don't want to be a guy rooting for someone like that. It's just, you don't like rooting for players that do stuff like that. Anyways, the one thing I will say, though, is for the Bulls side of this trade with Josh Giddey is I feel like I said, for him on the court, people are not giving him any, optimism. And maybe that's just me being someone who's trying to be optimistic because liking the Bulls, you're at least trying to see the positives of this. But Josh Giddey definitely, people are, I think, forgetting he's 21 years old. He's been pretty decent, and he's gotten better every year of his career. Here, we can go look because I have, my stuff up. With Josh Giddey here, take a look at Josh Giddey. If you scroll down over here to his overall just years in the career, in his career, first year of his career, 26% from 3, 32% from 3, and 33% from 3 this year. So his 3-point percentage has gotten higher every year. And that's his biggest problem, is shooting the 3. A lot of times, if you watch, they kind of just leave him open. And it's really about, can he be a league average shooter? If he could be a league average shooter, I think that's all that really matters. Um, Obviously, he's going to the Bulls, who are one of the, I think it was like fifth least amount of three-pointer frequency. So, like, they don't shoot the ball, and now you're getting a guy who's not good at shooting. Obviously, you don't like that, but the one thing I will say is I feel like a lot of the guys that don't really shoot the ball on this team could be gone. Like, the people that are going to be for sure staying on this team, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, I'm assuming, hopefully, is for sure going to stay. Both of them, really, really good shooters. And I mean, it could change a lot. A lot of those guys that, they're moving on from, possibly at least, are, DeMar DeRozan, not that much of a three-point shooter. He's a free agent, assuming, they don't bring him back, which I don't know. Maybe they do bring him back, and I honestly hope they don't. Not because I think DeMar DeRozan's bad, but just for the right move for the franchise. It makes no sense to bring him back. And, if they do, it would definitely suck. But overall, if you look at his percentages, he's gotten better every year of his career when it comes to shooting percentages. Free throw, even as that's gotten better. And so, honestly, this year he's got, less minutes. He overall didn't have an insane season, especially considering he took a jump from his rookie year to his second year. And a lot of people kind of expected maybe a jump this year, hopefully. But it was hard to do it on that Thunder team. And if he comes to this team, a Bulls team where he has a lot of opportunity, like, I don't know. For me, the biggest thing is I have to see games being played before I really have my full opinion on this trade. And I think Josh Giddey definitely still has potential. That, if he comes to this Bulls team, he has the potential to be good. Obviously, the main thing for me of why I don't like it is just what you get out of Alex Caruso. You could have got more in the past, and now you end up with, just Josh Giddey. But being optimistic, maybe those picks you ended up getting turn out to be a lot worse than Josh Giddey if he ends up, living up to his potential. I don't know. But yeah, so, I mean, if you look at his statistics in his percentages, I think there's definitely still hope that he will be really good. He is a restricted free agent this year. So, with him being a restricted free agent this year, I'm assuming that the Bulls look to bring him back if they made this trade. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. I know in the past, the Bulls have kind of just let a lot of those guys kind of like not, stay. They kind of let them walk. But I don't know. I feel like you don't make this trade if you don't think he's going to be back. Now, the main question I kind of had, which is answered now from this, that we'll kind of go over, basically saying Lonzo Ball, likely nearing an end with Chicago as a buyout is possible, or I think I saw something about maybe a trade. So I don't know. I mean, my biggest question after this was you have Ayo, Kobe White, Lonzo Ball, Javon Carter still on the roster, and then you have, now Josh Giddey. You have basically 5 guards. So it's kind of like, which ones are you going to actually try to build around? And so now with this Lonzo Ball news coming out, at least it makes a little more sense. It makes it a little more clear. And I think Josh Giddey, with his height, you could even put him at the 3. But yeah, so with this whole Lonzo Ball thing too, I don't know. I mean, I feel like his value right now is a lot lower considering he hasn't played for 2 years. And there's 2 ways to kind of play this. I feel like they should let him play at least the beginning half of the season, because maybe if he's playing really good, at least his value will go up. So you at least get more out of him. I feel like if they trade him now, you're not going to get as much out of him, obviously, since he hasn't played for 2 years. Or it can go completely bad and he plays and it looks really, really bad, and then you get almost nothing out of him. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, with this situation, with the whole everything with the Bulls, it's just an interesting situation. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing about this trade is I feel like a lot of people are fully bashing this, which obviously I'm not saying it's, not a, justified opinion. you're trading a guy you could have got a lot out of for someone that possibly has done stuff off the court that is obviously not good or respectable. And then also him actually as a player not being someone that could shoot in a shooting league. I understand it, but I don't know. I still, like I said, have to kind of see how Josh Giddey plays before I fully have my opinion about the trade for the Bulls perspective. And then if I'm, the Thunder or a Thunder fan, this is an amazing trade. I mean, you just got a guy that, I mean, if you see Alex Caruso play, especially with me watching the Bulls, I know he gets injured a lot. At least this season he was. In the games he does play, or the games he even finishes, because he left a lot of games with injury. But in a lot of those games, I mean, if you watch this guy play defensively, there's no question about it. His shooting is great. Overall, just a really impactful player, and now he's being added to the first seed in the West. So you're getting even better. And yeah, I mean, they have a lot of money. It says that they're expected to bring him back for the approximately around $80 million for 4 years, so about 20 mil a year. And with the amount of money they have, I definitely understand it. I don't know if they're gonna do anything else in free agency, but overall, this is a great fit. And now you pair him up with Lou Dort defensively. That seems really, really scary. And I think a big reason, especially now, is if you kind of look at the team that just won the championship with the Celtics. Their backcourt was really good at defense. You go out now as the Thunder and you go and get a guy that can play defense. Pair him with Lou Dort. Obviously, don't think that's anywhere as a backcourt as Drew Holiday and with Drew Holiday and Derek White, but I still think as two guys you could put on the main people you're defending, the main two guards. I still feel like that's a really, really good backcourt pairing, especially with, I mean, you also have Shea, who led the league in steals or was second in the league in steals. So I mean, this team defensively is gonna look a lot better. Still questions about the big position. I would like to see them add someone like maybe a Clint Capella or someone with that type of play style of Clint Capella, just a bigger body down low. And then I feel like this team's really, really complete. But yeah, so for the Thunder, obviously there's no question this is an amazing trade for you that you only give up Josh Giddey, no picks involved for Alex Caruso. And then obviously for the Bulls, like I was saying, obviously kind of sucks that you couldn't get more out of it, either a pick in this trade or other possible trades you had in past, in the trade deadline. But overall, I think I have to wait till I see them play before I could really make my full thoughts, at least for the Bulls' perspective. Obviously, for the Thunder, this is already an amazing trade, unless for some reason Alex Caruso just doesn't work out with them. But I don't think that's happening because, I mean, I don't think defensive players just lose their defense. So, but yeah, I mean, I gotta see Josh Giddey play. I gotta see what the final Bulls roster also looks, because a big part of this that kind of sucks is that he's a bad shooter on a team that doesn't shoot the ball much. And so I would have to see kind of what the roster is going to look like, because if it looks completely different after, the Zach LaVine trade, and depending on if DeMar comes back in free agency and whatever happens else in the draft, free agency, all that, the rest of their offseason moves, it could change how the roster looks, and maybe this team looks like a lot better of a shooting team, and he's one of the worst options. And, I don't know, league average this year for three-point shooting was 36%. He shot 33%. If he could take a little bit more of a jump like he has every year of his career, hopefully, maybe from that, he becomes league average or close to league average. And I think that's all that really matters, is if he's a respectable three-point shooter that you have to guard, and you don't just have to leave him open, it changes his impact a lot, because he's someone that's not really impactful without the ball. And so I feel like if he could be better off the ball, I think Josh Giddey would be a really good addition to the Bulls in this, rebuild process, considering he is only 21. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts. I know it's a little bit different than majority of people. I don't know. I'm trying to just be a little more optimistic until I see people play. I feel like that's how I am with majority of trades. Um, but yeah, so those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this Bulls trade and Thunder trade. And, you know, I will be doing this for probably every trade or, multiple trades in one video. And all other offseason moves, the JJ Redick to the Lakers thing, maybe I'll talk about in a few days. So yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel, and thanks for watching.